When we think about wealth transfer just broadly, and what to do with your money, what someone should do with their inheritance or otherwise, how does the macro for you factor in, whether it's the current geopolitical environment, whether it's we're talking AI, whether we're talking about private credit concerns and more? Let's just start there on the macro level.
Yeah, Carol, Tim, great to be here. I think we've seen, in the course of a few days, us go from geopolitical shock to global energy supply shock. And, as we all know, public markets react when headlines, even when those headlines are on Substack in utter fantasy, as we saw, a couple of weeks ago with Citrini. And one of the things that we're really hearing in the impact investing space, particularly in the deep impact investing space, like at RSF, is that investors increasingly want more assets that are less correlated with public markets so that they don't have the kind of vulnerabilities and volatility that we're seeing right now. And really to be invested in real assets with long-term value like food systems, regenerative agriculture, social enterprises that aren't reacting to minute-by-minute geopolitical headlines.
How do those assets manifest in not in asset, I guess in asset classes? Like, are those in the private markets? Are they in the form of venture capital or venture debt investing? Like how do you invest in those assets that you speak of?
Yes and yes. I mean, it's, impact investing in the past 10, 15 years has grown enormously. So really, investors can invest across the spectrum from capital preservation to deep impact fixed income, which is where RSF plays, to venture debt, to venture capital, private credit. But it's not the private credit that we're seeing, the volatility in right now. We're investing in the private credit side. You can be private credit and fixed income. You can be private credit and much more venture, but it's really investing in real assets that are providing long-term regenerative solutions to really intractable problems that we're facing right now, and aren't just about what is the money I can make from this. I mean, that is, we can look at the transfer that's happening, which is really more like 124 trillion if you look over the next 20 or something years. And a lot of that going not just to women, but to women in next gen. And they are really asking more questions. They are not just asking how much money can I make off of this deal, but they're asking what is this money doing? Where are my resources going? And what are the implications of that for people and planet? Not just for my portfolio.
And I am curious, Kathleen, in terms of how women and next generation folks are thinking about wealth management differently, as they inherit, as the wealth moves from a different generation, and to women specifically, especially when you think about some of the very wealthy women out there who have made some major movements in a very different way when it comes to philanthropy. And I think about Mackenzie Scott, excuse me. Yeah, I was going to say, I was trying to remember, forgive me. But I also think Melinda Gates continuing in terms of her work and how she's approaching. And many say it's often very different from what we've seen in the past.
Very different. And you don't see it, anywhere more clearly than with Mackenzie Scott and folks like Melinda Gates as well, Melinda French Gates. I mean, they are increasingly looking for, and not just looking for, but expect investments to be purpose-driven, intentional, responsive to both social and environmental needs. And again, not just saying like, what am I going to get out of this? But what is my money doing in the world? I was talking a couple of weeks ago with an ultra high net worth woman, and she referenced this book by Parker Palmer that was called Let Your Life Speak. And she said, what if my money could speak? What would it say about what kind of person I am? And she said, I can tell you right now, I wouldn't like it. And that's why I'm here. Because I want my money to do something different in the world. And they're looking at much longer term, much more intentional. Some women, a lot of this is happening at divorce or death, where they haven't had agency before.
Yeah.
It's been, sort of set it and forget it, or my partner, my spouse is taking care of this. And now when it's in my domain, what do I want to do with it? What do I want it to say? What do I want it to do? What do I want my inheritance that I provide to the rest of the world to be? What do I want my legacy to be? And often we think about legacy just with philanthropy. But really now people are starting to think about what is the legacy period of what holistically, from philanthropy all the way to investing, what is my legacy?
Hey, one last
question. Women in particular are asking that.
Kathleen, one last question, because I do feel like we become a more informed society, yet we still talk about financial literacy at all ages. Women coming in that you are seeing and working just quickly, do they have to kind of do a little bit of homework and do a little bit of work to understand the investment environment? Or are they coming in saying, I kind of got it, or I kind of have an idea of what I need to do?
And it's not just women. I think a lot of folks set it and forget it, but specifically around women, they're coming in with a lot of clarity about what's important. I want my money to do good things. I want my money to have a positive impact, and I don't know how to do it. So help me do that. And that's where advisors are coming in, and advisors who can talk with their clients, particularly women, about impact, can help them navigate the impact investing landscape, are in a fantastic position right now. And that's what we do a lot with folks who come to us. What is the next step? What is the first step? What does a capital stack look like on the impact side? Do I have to take a haircut? No is the answer. You do not. Absolutely do not. But there's a fair amount of hand-holding, and it's not even hand-holding. That's not really the right way to put it, but it's walking side by side on a journey with folks. Anyone who is entering this space now knows what they want their money to do in terms of the impact that they want it to have, that they want it to be positive, but they don't know how to get there.